Hi, my name is Lexi, and I'm going to be presenting on psychological momentum in sports. And psychological momentum is a positive or negative change in behavior caused by an event or a series of events. And that event or those events will result in a change or a shift in the performance outcome or competitive outcome. And within psychological momentum, there's several steps. The first step is the situational antecedent, which is an event or a stimulus, and that will create the second step, which is the athlete's behavior or interpretation of the event or situation. And then that will also cause the third step to occur, which is the performance outcome, which is a positive or negative consequence of the athlete's behavior to the event. I think it's very important that we teach this to children early on in their sport development to help them maintain their sport participation and help set them up for future success. I think that elite athletes are the best at controlling psychological momentum in their game because they have more experience and they're able to identify antecedents. They're able to identify when an antecedent is when a situation, whether it's negative or positive, they're able to alter their behavior to create more positive outcomes. And I think that if children know this, then they'll be able to help themselves in creating more successful futures. And sports doesn't have to be so toxic or so psychologically demanding to them. I think if an athlete has the knowledge of of psychological momentum in their sport, they'll be able to create this sort of positive loop of positive events and outcomes. So if an antecedent occurs and they react in a positive way, or they result in a behavior that results in a positive outcome, then when that situation comes up again, they'll respond in the same way to ensure that they would get the positive outcome. Let's say, for example, you make a shot from a 3-point line, you'll have a higher self-efficacy in yourself to do it again. So when you have the opportunity to take when the event occurs for you to take another 3-point shot, you'll have better self-talk and your anxiety will be lower. So then you'll take the shot again. And then the positive outcome would be you would make the shot, or you would have a higher overall average of points per game, or you would win the game for your team. So even if you have an understanding of psychological momentum and a negative outcome occurs, you'll be able to identify what behaviors are needed to get a positive outcome. So you'll be able to kind of if you break out of the positive cycle, you'll be able to get back in it. If you don't have an understanding of psychological momentum, and obviously, positive outcomes can still occur, but if negative outcomes happen, you can kind of get into a negative outcome loop, which would be very toxic to the athlete. So if you have a negative antecedent, let's say you fall at a horseback riding competition, the next horseback riding competition you do, the antecedent would be the horseback riding competition, and then your behavior would be an increased anxiety or negative self-talk. You might have a lower self-efficacy, higher anxiety. So then that results in you not performing as well. So then it kind of creates more anxiety to the event itself. This can just become very toxic and increase to a higher chance of burnout or participation dropout. You would have an increased chance of all of the negative behaviors and outcomes to happen again. It just becomes very toxic. So I think overall, if we teach kids what psychological momentum is and how it can benefit you and how elite athletes are able to identify the antecedent and create positive outcomes for themselves, we can help kids maintain their sport participation and create more successful futures for them in sports. As they might not become like professional athletes, but at least they'll be able to have a higher self-efficacy in themselves in physical activity, and they'll be able to just be happier individuals with themselves and their abilities to perform in whatever level of sport they desire. Thanks.